Welcome, everybody, whether you're joining from my channel, Susie Wendel, or my podcast, Nurturing After Narcissism, or from Angeline's platform, Let's Break the Silence. Today, we're really happy to have you here. It's a special conversation for survivors, advocates, and really anyone who believes in the power of women's voices.
Yes, and we both come from lived experiences of surviving abuse and walking through the healing process. And one thing we share is our passion for helping women step into their power, not just to heal, but to create change that ripples outward.
Yeah, absolutely. And Angeline and I are going to have a real and raw conversation today. We're going to talk about the power of telling your story, the realities and the risks that can come with it, and how storytelling really fits into healing, how we can lift each other and lead and empower other women through our own stories along the way. So we're super excited about what we're here to talk about today.
Yes, and I'm super excited as well to hear your story, and this is what we do.
This is what we do. Yeah. Right. I was happy to connect with you a few months ago, I think, and hear about the work you're doing. And yeah, I mean, I know a lot of survivors connect for that reason, because when you share your story, it really can change lives. And in our case, in the space that we work within, it can sometimes save lives. So
absolutely,
I think today is a really important conversation. But, you know, the reality is, like we mentioned, not every woman who has been through abuse is in a safe place to share their story. And that's okay, too. So while we are talking about sharing your story today, that doesn't mean necessarily getting on a public platform like we do. It could just be, you know, telling your story in a private support group or to someone who you know who has been through it, and you know your story can help them as well. So the scale of this can be anything, really. But what we're going to focus on today is, you know, the why behind sharing your stories, the when of figuring out when the right time is for you if you do want to share your story, and the how to safely do that in a way that, you know, doesn't disrupt your nervous system, doesn't disrupt your peace, how to do that piece safely. So
exactly, and I totally agree with you. And sharing, and I talk a lot about this. Sharing is powerful because it breaks the silence. And when silence is broken, shame starts to lose its grip. So I know for me, that was a huge struggle because I felt ashamed. Mm-hmm. Hi, Emilio. Blessings. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, we feel ashamed, you know, but once you break that cycle and break that silence, shame starts to lose its grip. But we also know the reality of that. Speaking up can bring backlash, and you have to decide if, when, and how sharing your truth is worth those possible consequences. So that's actually part of empowerment too, making a choice that's right for you. I mean, we have choices in life. What a beautiful thing. So we have a choice. Either we can hide our story and wear that mask, or take off the mask, surrender, step into your power and truth, and share your story, because that's going to create impact. There is someone out there looking on social media. They're looking for hope. And I'll never forget when I shared my story back in 2018 of March, lo and behold, it spiraled. It went viral. And it was an 18-minute live with the camera, holding my camera like this. I didn't have StreamYard or anything, nothing. And I finally broke the silence, because my millionaire mentor at the time shared with me, he said, Angeline, people do not know the real story. So he said, you're right. So essentially what he was saying was, take off the mask, surrender your pride and ego, forget about feeling ashamed and all that. So I went public.
I love that.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you did. And it sounds like you've been able to help so many people already.
Yes, already. And that's a huge, huge blessing. What a huge blessing.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So maybe let's just start with, and I think you've touched on some of this already, but why do stories matter? And feel free to add to this, but
Sure.
why I believe it's important to tell your story. Number one, you've already kind of touched on this, but just telling your story helps create a connection that otherwise might not exist for someone. And it might just make that person feel like they're not alone anymore. And we never want to feel alone in our struggles, obviously. So number one, just creating that connection with others. You touched on this too, like helping to change the perceptions of domestic violence. So many survivors come out of these relationships feeling that strong sense of shame, feeling like others are going to judge them if they know what was happening behind closed doors and that they tolerated it for as long as they did. You know, we know people stay in these relationships for so many reasons, but people who haven't been through it don't understand. I think many survivors have heard, why didn't you just leave? Or why don't you just leave? You know, there is that sense of almost, you know, judgment towards the person who was in the relationship, in the abusive relationship. So just helping to change that perspective, helping to inspire some action. Going down the path of leaving an abusive relationship is scary. And many people stay in the relationships strictly out of fear. So if they can see that someone else has made it through that process and has come out on the other side okay, they might just be inspired to take that action too. And just giving that sense of hope. We essentially become living proof that healing is possible and that happiness is possible. So for me, those are, I guess, the foundational reasons of why I share my story, just to be able to shine that little light for somebody who might not be seeing it right now. So
exactly.
Anything you would add to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad you spoke about that. We are born to share our real life stories, but we are born to be the light in someone's darkness. And how, you know, stories do create connection. And because someone out there is going through the same thing as you and I,
right.
Someone out there is going through domestic violence right now, or being beaten down to the ground. So we're here to raise awareness. For me, that was all about raising awareness.
Yeah.
Raising awareness and breaking the silence. Because like I touched on before, when we break the silence, we surrender and shame leaves. All of a sudden, the fear and doubt is out the window. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Fear and doubt is pushed out the window. And for me, that's what it was for me. And it inspires action, gives hope. Like you said, it'll give hope to a woman out there who is currently suffering. She's scrolling on social media, right? Maybe she's on Facebook, maybe she's on YouTube. And for me, it was YouTube, or it was Facebook actually. So when I went live on Facebook, there were women who were tuning in. They shared the live out. That's the ripple effect it has.
Right.
You're giving other people hope. And before you know it, for me, the next day, there were over 1,000 shares. Jeez. And this is on Facebook, everyone.
Wow.
Yeah, this is on Facebook. So we're here to create a ripple effect. And I know for both of us, survivors become living proof that healing is possible. It is. We are able to heal and thrive from the abuse and become best-selling authors, coaches, speakers, global speaking, just everything.
Counselors, therapists.
Therapists, right. You're therapists.
So many things.
We have the power to rewrite our stories. That's what that's what it's all about. We're here to rewrite our stories and empower other women that they could do the same.
100%.
So
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So why don't we talk a little? Yeah, create a movement. Absolutely. So why don't we talk a little bit about, for the person listening who maybe has been feeling that desire to share their story, but they're unsure of how to do it, or when the timing is right, or when it's safe to do so. Let's talk a little bit about that piece.
Absolutely. Yes, I would love to talk about that piece. Safety first, because you have to assess the legal, emotional, and social impact. And for me, my lawyer said, don't share it. My lawyer told me, I remember, don't share anything, nothing on social media, nothing. And she was right, because he had hired a private detective. So I made sure that I was silent. That's because of legal reasons. The emotional, I was willing to put myself out there in public, but my lawyer said no, because you're going to lose the case. So she said, be very, very careful. So in that case, looking back on that, I agree with her on that. Plus safety. Yes. You don't want your ex to know where you are, or your soon to be ex to know where you are, because I've heard too many stories, because there's backlash. People troll online. There's family conflict, because believe it or not, some family members will not support you because they think you're crazy. Or if you were like me, born and raised in a strict Greek Orthodox family, we were conditioned to believe you marry for better, for worse.
Right.
Yeah. And you have to say
divorce is a sin, and
be submissive. And I chose not to do that. I chose not to be, submissive is one thing. If he wants to go out, whatever, that's okay. But but to be submissive in another way. And that's where I drew the line. And I said, I am going to write out my last check in my savings for $5,000 to start divorce proceedings, because for me, it was, what good is the money if I'm miserable? Right. And I understand workplace consequences. Yes, I actually lost my full-time job. So there are some, I was actually reading an article on LinkedIn over the weekend about workplace consequences. And for me, there needs to be more, I would say, awareness, because when you're at a workplace and you're suffering, there should be more educational programs. Now, some employers are actually working on that to make the workplace safe. So I know that those laws are in place right now, but it all depends, like workplace consequences. I had to go out on the road for business, and I had to make phone calls because I worked in outside sales. And one time he decided to shut off the internet, just made a decision one morning to call the cable company, shut off the internet. So I was forced to go out, and actually it worked out that I did go out. A realtor who was a client of mine let me use their office for 2 hours. I said, so I actually literally, I was in tears. Here I am going through the throes of a divorce. And they were my client, and they said, no problem, use it as long as you want. They basically, which was very nice. So there was a lot of support, but eventually, I didn't get any other sales or revenue, so they let me go, but that's okay. All right. Because that's okay, because I was not, at that time, I didn't have the right mindset. So,
and it's led you down this path now, that's kind of the way I view it as well.
Right. Because it was just God leading me in a new path. God led me into a new path of greatness. And here I am today. And that didn't come without peaks and valleys, because there's peaks and valleys in everything in life. So also, there are cases where not every survivor is in a safe place to go public.
Right.
And that doesn't make her story less valid. So there are some survivors who are not in that position yet to go public. So meaning this, they're going through, like for me, I didn't go public with my story. And it wasn't because of shame.
While you were in divorce.
Legally advised not to do it, so I didn't do it. So what I did was I did some journaling. I went to therapy. I actually had a therapist who had gone through domestic violence. So she knew exactly what I was going through.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah. And I, at that time, got involved in the online space, and I had a coach, a mentor, who was literally walking me through everything. to help strip away, strip away the old me and just the fear. And she helped me with a lot of mindset. And that's so, so important. So she encouraged me to go out. She encouraged me to go seek support. So I sought support groups, and I became involved in the online space. And in fact, when I moved at that time to Saratoga Springs, where I sought refuge, I became involved in dance classes, dance and yoga classes. And that's a freedom of expression for me. I love music. And that literally changed everything, because I got to surround myself with supportive people. And that's important because you can't do this alone. Don't try to do this alone, because we are not called to do life alone. So join close support groups, and permission to wait. Yes, you decide at the right time. So, before going public, for me, it took me 7 years. I shared little bits and pieces. I remember writing a blog about my journey, about going from the depths of despair to freedom and liberation. So I totally remember that. I remember that like it was yesterday, just journaling and writing, because I have a passion for writing. And I'm still, to this day, I love to write. I write every single morning, and I journal every single morning, at least 10 to 15 things that I am grateful for in this notebook here. And I also have a planner, and I also have this notebook that I bought the other day from Barnes & Noble. So Inspire. So I do a lot of my writings now here. And
awesome.
That's very healing.
Absolutely. And that alone can be, if that's your avenue or someone's avenue sharing their story, it's a journal entry. That's okay too. And that can be very healing for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So journaling and, writing is very healing for me. Very, it's enlightening for me. I rediscovered things that I thought I never had. So it's like, I feel like, God is leading me into a new path. And a new path of empowering more women worldwide and creating a global impact. So we have the power to do that, ladies. It all starts with making a decision to go public. That's the first thing, is to surrender your pride and ego and to go public and share your story. I remember when I shared my story in March of 2018, I felt relieved, but not only that, I felt more empowered. I'm like, and my head was spinning. In fact, I had gone out to dinner that night, and the video was like at 1 million views. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I felt so good, because I used to be the biggest chicken of going live.
I did too.
Yeah.
I've gotten used to it now.
It's not easy to open up.
When you're talking about something so sensitive and personal, it is scary, and you're not sure who's watching and how you will be judged and all the things. There can be so many positive aspects to it too.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think we want to be real with everybody to consider those other things too. Like you mentioned, just the legal safety, the physical safety, make sure you're not putting yourself in any physical danger by telling your story. Of course, consult with an attorney if you feel like there could be legal repercussions. Right. And know that it can be really empowering and can help you grow so much, but also, again, since we're having a real and raw conversation, know that putting it out there can sometimes be emotionally draining as well. I know that has kind of been my own personal experience, that when you put your story out there and perhaps, receive backlash or judgment for what you say, it tests your resolve. It can definitely test your resolve. But through that process, through that test, I feel like it can also make you stronger. It can also help you heal further. It can help you identify parts of yourself that may still need more healing work. So There's so many great things that can come out of it. But I think one thing you said that I wanted to highlight too in this section, when and how to share your story safely, is there's no expiration date to your story. There's no expiration date for when you should or should not talk about your story. I think that's also maybe a myth some people have in their minds. Like, oh, if I go out and talk about my experience that happened 10 years ago, are people going to think I'm jaded or crazy, or I haven't healed, or I'm out for revenge, or whatever it might be? No. You get to tell your story when you want to tell your story, as long as you feel safe, as long as you feel like those boxes are checked. Exactly. So I wanted to highlight too, no expiration date there. So
exactly.
Good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that healing piece. How does sharing your story fuel healing? I kind of learned through the trauma recovery courses I've taken, and just kind of personally my own experiences along the way, that storytelling is really a milestone in people's healing journey. It does usually come after stabilizing your safety, prioritizing your healing, and rebuilding that self-worth. So I personally don't recommend doing it. And I think this is kind of the journey you've followed too. Not doing it immediately, like while you're in the thick of things, or while you're still really in the trenches of healing. I recommend kind of getting through those pieces of your journey, and then, kind of going down the path of storytelling. But it really marks for a lot of people that natural next chapter of advocacy, whether it's, again, just helping one person who needs help, or getting on a larger platform and more publicly telling your story. So it's a really great chapter in the healing process, and brings that empowerment out of survivors too, where you feel like you've been silenced for so long, and finally you put it out there. It's a really empowering thing to do. And I think from I could probably speak for both of us too. It's that feeling of turning a really painful experience that you've had into purpose,
Exactly.
Like, I think we all go through these. When you go through this type of circumstance, you look back and realize, man, I've learned so much. You feel like you've been through like a master's degree program, or got your doctorate in abuse, because as you go through it, you research and you learn, and you make mistakes. And I know I personally if I can talk about those things and help somebody get through it easier, or prevent them from making a mistake that I did, and that's worth it, So turning that pain into purpose.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That last piece of just helping others validates your own growth and your own strength. So lots of like self-growth, I think, that happens, that can come from telling your story. So
absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say, like, how did sharing your story impact you?
So how did my story impact
you've talked about the empowerment piece. Any other things that like you would point to, and how sharing your story helped or impacted you, or helped you grow?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, for me, it was a milestone. So it had a huge impact in my community that I built, and also, my Facebook community, because I just had Facebook at the time. So it had a huge impact. A lot of women came to me and thanked me for breaking the silence. They would share, they would private message me, or they would call me, and they would say, thank you for sharing your story. Because like I said, that fear was still there. So the impact that it had, in answer to your question, was a huge impact. And women realized that they could rebuild their self-worth, because when you share your story, you're creating impact, and you're rebuilding your self-worth. You're not stuck in the past necessarily. Like, when you share your story, I mean, I've gone very deep in sharing my story, but it's the outcome.
Right.
is reclaiming your self-worth, reclaiming your power, reclaiming your confidence, unlocking your true potential, because I realized that I could do anything. Like, I didn't have to be stuck in that marriage, for the rest, in that bad marriage for the rest of my life. And I feel that it's causing more people to come forward and share their real life stories, and speaking out can also transform pain into purpose and helping others validate. I mean, I wasn't seeking validation, but it helps you grow as a person. So the more that I was out there sharing my story, the more impact that I was creating. I didn't realize the impact that I was creating until I got those messages from these ladies, and and I built a community, and I'm still building my community because people come and go, people, that's just normal, but I don't feel that people ever get tired of us sharing our real life stories. Because you can share it with a different flavor, if that makes sense. And it will still, I feel that our stories, my story from 17 years ago has still had impact. Now it's creating more impact. Being able to now speak on stages, whether it's virtual or in person. Becoming a co-author, meaning partnering with other colleagues to share our stories, that has a ripple effect. So this has happened actually for me in the last 5 years, especially this year. Just like this year, it's been one thing after another. But that didn't come, it's not luck. So I talk about this a lot. This is not luck. Oh, she got lucky. No, she worked for it. I worked for it, and I put myself out there.
For sure.
Yeah. It takes a lot of work. I mean, when I create content and share, bits and pieces of my stories and sharing empowerment, that's work, everyone. I sit down at night and I'll, I prepare, for the night before of what I'm actually going to post the next day.
Right. For sure.
So I'm already prepared to do it, and I may tweak it and everything, but it's like I write early in the morning too. So sharing our story has a ripple effect.
For sure. It really does. Yeah. It definitely impacted me a lot too, just putting myself out there and sharing. And I reflected on this a little bit, because we were both going to share kind of how sharing our stories impacted us. And I think for me, it really, number one, it kind of helped me identify places within myself, pieces within myself that still needed some healing work. I've always been a kind of a people pleasing person. I find I'm less so now that I'm like in my middle age here, but the people pleasing side of me. And I study a lot about trauma. So I naturally kind of, if I am called on the carpet for something or criticized about something, my natural tendency is to either freeze and kind of get stuck for a little while, or to fawn and to try to appease that person who is criticizing me or coming at me about something. So I definitely saw, as I was telling my story more, I saw those responses coming out more. And I realized, okay, I still need to work on this part of myself that just wants conflict to be over regardless of what it is, and be able to like think through those situations and decide if that's worth using my voice for, fighting for. And time again, I come back to, yes, this is worth it. This is, if I can just help one person, it's worth it. So I think sharing my story ultimately helped like strengthen my resolve that this is the work that I want to be doing and what I'm meant to be doing. And I think you and I talked about this when we chatted on the phone initially, is if not us, then who? If every person is scared into silence, or just not feeling empowered enough to share their story, then how is anyone going to learn from each other? How do we create those spaces for other women who are going through it? So I always ask myself that, like, if not me, then who? So that's kind of been my journey, I guess, on how sharing my stories impacted me. But
okay,
it's definitely
I'm glad you
a journey.
That piece. I'm very happy that you shared that piece. Definitely.
Yeah, it's just, I think, to share, to let other people know if they are going to go out there and tell their story, what they might also experience. There is sometimes a little emotional roller coaster that comes along with it, but that's okay. And that's part of the piece that's going to help you grow too,
And that is part of the process, actually. It is. Yeah. Yeah, that's part of the journey. Not everyone. So like for me, sharing my story, so I got away from the people pleasing. So that's the first thing that happened. I got away from so I'm not going to worry. So for me, it's not I'm not worried about what other people think of me anymore. Now more than ever. Now more than ever, because I've learned to stay for me. So, leading by example, lifting lifting other women, encouraging women to step into their voice, their choices, and their power, because we do have a choice. We can be open-minded and share our story with the world that is going to have a huge impact on other women's lives, but it's also a relief. It's a release, actually. So this is a release, meaning you're releasing all the fear and doubt, and not seeking validation, because during my marriage, I sought validation. Yeah, I sought validation.
Many of us do. Yeah. Right.
Many of us do. Exactly. Exactly. Many of us do. Absolutely. Absolutely. So not seeking that validation was huge. That was huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm very proud of both of us that we are able as women to lead by example and healing openly, showing, a way forward for these women, because, there are women who will come to me and they just feel helpless. But guess what? That, at the end of the day, life is happening for us, not to us.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's happening for us, not to us. So when you're saying to your life that life is happening to you, that is a victim state. Yeah. They're still in that victim mindset. But when you say that life is happening for you, it just essentially means that, God is creating another plan for you. So, you're, for me, it was rising up, rising up and believing in myself again. I had to believe in myself.
Yeah.
There are other mentors and coaches out there who believe in me, but the first thing, it starts with you believing in yourself. Yeah.
And that there could be a bigger plan to all of this. I think you and I both, if we were rewound 15 years ago, we never would have guessed we'd be on YouTube talking about these things, right? So it's
we're on YouTube, and I'm on my Facebook fan page, or my Facebook page, and there are people watching. People are watching us, and we have choices in life, and what a beautiful thing. So, there's resources like, I have my Facebook group, I have my podcast. And I'm going to be starting a new podcast, by the way, in 2026. So that's the thing. I'm working behind the scenes. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work happening, but people are watching us. People are watching us. And I'm very proud of both of us that we went live today on YouTube, and, to share what we are most passionate about. My passion is to help other women, and and for you, it's the same thing.
For sure. Yeah. And I think I don't think I had envisioned how much support I would still need once I started telling my story, and that was a big learning for me too. And why it's important that we're here and we're talking, because as my resolve was tested along the way, I found myself reaching out to other women who were doing the same thing, like women like you, women who are telling their story, who are bravely putting it out there. And I feel like the more you surround yourself with other people, like-minded people, the more it helps you be strong, you know? So
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why it's important that we just talk. So
right. And it's important that we have these real and raw conversations.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's very, very important that we have these real and raw conversations, because the more that we talk about it, the more impact that we will have on someone else who is watching this live right now or watching the replay. So, I mean, I know for you, Susie, your story has a lot of weight. And even if you're not ready or never choose to tell it publicly, it matters. So it shapes, you know, it shapes who we are. And when we lead, lift, and empower, the ripple effect is unstoppable. It creates a ripple effect. Whether you share your story with millions or one person or just journaling, it's part of your healing, and it can help someone else take that next step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So we had a few actionable steps that we wanted to share with our audience here to kind of wrap things up. What are some things that people can do if they want to start sharing their story, whether it's on a small scale or on a large scale? So maybe we just kind of wrap up with those. Do you want me to take the lead on that? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, take the lead on that, and then I'll go
some of these, some of these we've talked about already. You can start as small as sharing or supporting another woman privately. You mentioned, domestic violence, and we're not just talking about physical violence. We're talking about financial abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, all of those things. That's all domestic violence. So we know that, I think the statistic is 1 in 4 women is experiencing domestic violence. So you think about the street you live on and the neighborhood you live in, and count every 4 houses, there could be a domestic violence situation. It's likely that that's happening. So number one is just, even if it's just supporting one woman privately who you know is going through a hard time, send her a message, validate her experience. You can have a huge impact even if it's just one person. So that's one actionable step you can take, is just supporting that person that you know needs it.
Exactly. Yeah. Offer support. Get on a call with them.
Join a support group. Even if you're a support group down the path of healing. I run an in-person support group and an online support group. And I have several women in there who they're through their situation, but they're at a point where they just want to give back. They want to be able to share their experiences and help other women going through it. And that can be so huge for somebody who's in the thick of it. So yeah, just joining a support group, anything like that, can have a huge impact.
Exactly. I agree with you. It can have a huge impact. And for me, like in the beginning stages, I joined a support group. So I joined a support group, and I also have a community of support online. So I have an online Facebook support community. So if anyone is interested, they could reach out to me, they could reach out to Susie, and, we'd be more than happy to hop on a call with you to figure out exactly what is going on and to build that roadmap for success, to build
sure.
To build that roadmap, to see where you are now and where you want to be. Because you may be in a situation where you're in a dark place and you don't know who to turn to. Oh, I feel helpless. I don't know what to do. Nothing. Listen, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to feel that way. I remember there was an instance where 2 women, this is 2020. This is a couple of months after I started my podcast. They reached out to me because they needed a place to stay. They needed a place to stay, and I found, I said, let's go online together. Let's jump on a call. Jumped on a call.
That's awesome.
I looked online for them because they didn't have access to a computer. And I said, here's where you could go. And this happened in New York City.
Wow.
So just me telling her that, and she had a child, she was able to escape in 24 hours.
That's great. Yeah. So sharing resources is another way you can help. Just you know, you don't even necessarily have to say this happened to me. You could share, you know, if there's been a valuable resource for you, whether it's a book you read. I consistently hear different books come up in the different circles I'm a part of that were like so impactful to people's lives.
Right.
Share that book, share a podcast that was helpful, support lines, like you said, or safe houses, support groups. All of those things can be tremendously helpful to people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. They can be tremendously helpful is right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the last actionable step is just, you know, speak up when you're ready and make sure it's a safe space. You can, again, be telling your story or just countering some of the victim blaming narratives that are out there.
Right,
I know
exactly.
when I see something that I don't like anymore, that I feel is blaming women, blaming victims, I'm like, we're not doing that. So
no, we're not doing that
having
at
your
all.
voice and having a strong stance on that, those types of things can be really helpful and really empowering at the same time. So
exactly,
just a few of the steps that we had laid out, but there's a number of ways. And like you said, Angeline, if people want to reach out to either one of us or both of us, whatever, we're happy to help you navigate this whole space. So yeah. Anything else or anything that you think we didn't touch on today when it comes to lead, lift, and empower?
Yes. Oh my God. All I can say is that your story has a lot of power. Mm-hmm. It has a lot of power. And this has been a very, very powerful conversation because in today's live, which is on YouTube right now, we explore how storytelling can lead, lift, and empower, not only transforming your own life, but creating a ripple effect of change for women everywhere. So this live today, I mean, I'm live right now on my YouTube channel with Susie, and Susie is live on her YouTube channel. But what we're doing here today, everyone, is we are creating a ripple effect right now.
Yeah.
Right now. So lead, lift, and empower. I'm glad that we talked about this topic because, you know, it all starts with making a decision. You have to decide when you are ready to go public. Oh, and by the way, what I want to say is that there is a woman friend of mine. She has been in my Facebook group for, I think, about 10 years or so.
Wow.
Open up.
Wow.
Break the silence.
Woo, I love it.
Share her story. And this is after, I would say, 10 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So this is the ripple effect, everyone. This is the ripple effect that storytelling has.
Ride the waves.
Someone's life. You know, people, really can. Like I said, are scrolling on social media. They are. They're scrolling on social media. Mm-hmm. And people want to talk. They want to break the silence. They just want, and you know what? It's important to be in a safe space to share your story. Now, in my case, I was already out of my toxic relationship, toxic marriage, and divorced, and I was able to, break the silence and find my purpose. Yeah. So you can do it. So everyone,
yes,
if we can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely.
It all starts with making a decision.
Definitely. Yeah. Can you tell people, I know we've linked our YouTube channels over on YouTube where we're live today, but can you just tell people where they can find more information about you and maybe mention what's the name of your support group as well, just in case people are interested in that. I'll do the same.
Sure. Absolutely. It's domestic violence support for healing and empowerment. You can find it on Facebook. Just type it in the search bar. And also, to book a breakthrough call with me, you can go to letsbreakthesilence.com. There is a book a call button, and I am offering a free VIP 30-minute session to build that roadmap for you. It's a coaching call. And also on my website, you can find my podcast, which is Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. You can find me on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music now, and all the other live streams that you listen to. My YouTube channel is Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. And when you go on my website, all my links are there, including LinkedIn. So Facebook, awesome. YouTube, Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Let's Break the Silence, and also Angeline _ Constantinou.
Great. You're everywhere. I love it.
And that's Facebook.
So yay. That's great. I'm on YouTube, obviously, and Instagram, just as my name, Susie Miller Wendel. I have a podcast that's called Nurturing After Narcissism, which is named after the book I published last summer. So you can find me in those places, Facebook as well. My website is susiemillerwendel.com. So if you just search my name, you'd be able to find me in all those different places. I'm on LinkedIn. I also offer free 30-minute discovery calls for people that want to explore working with me. And I also have, like I mentioned, a Facebook community. It's called Rise and Thrive Women. And I run that with another fellow trauma recovery coach. And we have a private membership community as well over on the platform called School. So we've got a lot of resources in there for people and community meetings and all the things. So I've got that information in my various bios and things and websites. So yeah, sounds like we're both everywhere. So
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, great. Good. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad we got to chat today. And again, anybody, if you watch the replay on this and you have questions or comments, leave them for us. I know we would love to hear from you. So did you see any questions come in from your side at all? I didn't on my end. I just
let me see. No, I don't think so. No,
there was nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any comments, but you know what it is like with me? I have a lot of replay viewers on Facebook.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so
I'll have to make sure I find you on there. So I can respond to.
For those of you who are watching the replay, so the replays will be live on my YouTube channel at Let's Break the Silence with Angeline, and the same thing with Susie. Mm-hmm. We would love for you to post your biggest takeaway of this live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your biggest takeaway. And how this live can inspire you to turn your pain into purpose and create real impact.
Yes. Please tell us. We would love to know.
Yes. Please tell us.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Oh, well, great. Well, thank you, Angeline. I'll make sure, I think we've connected on Facebook. I'll make sure we connect over there too. So if anyone comments on here, and I can chime in too. So
absolutely. Send me a friend request, and then I'll tag you with the video, we'll tag each other, and let's create impact. That's what we're here to do, to create a ripple effect and create impact worldwide.
Yes, let's do it. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you everybody for tuning in, and we might see you. We might be together again sometime and have another chat. So
that's right. That's right.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.